Research shows that it's actually easier to bring your future self to you than for you to go to your future self. And so there's a really easy, fun activity that you could do, which I recommend you do yourself, but also with your friends. If you've got kids, do this with your kids. It's just a fun little activity. And that's actually making a future self time capsule for different periods of time. Let me give you an example. I'll actually give you 3 examples. And then what I'm going to invite you to do is choose at least one time frame and make a form of a future self time capsule, which you then open in the future to see how you do. So I'll give you 3 different examples. I'll start with Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is a famous YouTuber, but multiple years ago, actually in 2015, he made 4 different time capsules of his future self. And then he set those videos to be published at certain days in the future. This was back when he was a 17-year-old high school kid, but he filmed himself, literally like I'm filming myself, but he had a conversation with his future self. He did a 6-month time capsule where he talked to his future self 6 months in advance and just talked about where he thought his future self would be. He had a 12-month time capsule where he thought his future self would be, and then 5-year time capsule. By the way, his 5-year time capsule was published just last year in October of 2021. So you could actually find that. It's called Hi Me in 5 Years. And in that video, he's talking to his future self and talking about where he thinks his future self will be. His 10-year time capsule, which comes out, in like 2026 or something like that, isn't published yet because he filmed those videos and then he set them to go live at certain times in the future based on when he was having those conversations with his future self. Now that's Mr. Beast kind of talking to his future self, which is very powerful. And it's also very cool because he did it publicly. He wasn't hiding his future self. I love the quote from Alcoholics Anonymous that you're only as sick as your secrets. A lot of people say you shouldn't be public about your future self, but that goes against a lot of research. First off, Dr. Robert Cialdini, who's one of the top researchers in social psychology, he's kind of uncovered and clarified a concept called the principle of consistency. The principle of consistency shows that as human beings, we really want our words, our identity, and our behaviors to be aligned. And so if you tell someone you're going to do something, you usually feel compelled to do it, because if you don't, then that misaligns your identity, your behavior, and your words. And so talking about your future self, telling people about where you plan to go, only aligns your identity more clearly with your words. It also gets you more committed, especially once you start asking directly for what you want. First off, clarifying what you want, then asking, and actually just publicly committing. Public commitment is very powerful. Also, your identity really is what your story is. And if your story is based on your past self, then you're going to be repeating the past a lot. People with a fixed mindset, their identity is completely rooted in their current self. So Dr. Carol Dweck, she talks a lot about fixed mindset versus growth mindset, but people with a fixed mindset, they don't believe that their future self is going to be any different. They believe that their future self is the same person as they are right now because they've overly solidified their current self and they've painted themselves in a box. They've got no imagination, no confidence, no creativity. And what's funny is it's a radical contradiction. Actually, what the research shows is that in 10 years from now, your future self is going to be so different, you can't even predict it. If you actually go back to the example of Mr. Beast, in 2017, when he made his time capsules, he was very much predicting a big future self. But when it really came down to it, 5 years later, he was in his 5-year future self video. He said he planned on having 1 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. Well, what really happened was by the time that video went live, the 5-year version or his 5-year time capsule, he actually had over 44 million subscribers and he was making over $100 million a year. So what's amazing is 5 years is a very long period of time if you're focused on a specific target. If you have a clear future self, if you're prioritized, and if you're actually daily walking towards your future self, you're going to experience the compound effect. Anything you're currently imagining is actually radically small compared to what the compound effect could be if you're focused and if you're serious and if you're committed. So Mr. Beast is one example. I want to share with you one of my friends who I think does a better job of bringing his future self to him. So this is a guy named Lee Brower, a good friend of mine. He's actually a coach at Strategic Coach. But what he does every January 1st is he films a short video of himself. And by the way, the videos of Mr. Beast were only 2 minutes long. Your time capsule doesn't have to be long. You can film a video. But actually, the third example I'm going to share with you is me mostly writing a letter. Me and my wife. We filmed videos, but we also wrote letters. I think it is kind of fun to film a video because then, especially if your time capsule is over 5 years, you can kind of see your old self, which is pretty cool and fun. Anyways, the second example is Lee Brower. And what he does every January 1st is he films a video of himself speaking as his future self 1 year in advance. So let's just say it's January 1st, 2022. What Lee would do is he would film a video of himself speaking as future Lee on January 1st of 2023. And basically what he would say is, hey, Lee, if you're still seeing this video, congratulations, you made it through another year. And then basically what he does is he says all the things that happened that year, the core themes that happened, outcomes he had, the core focus he had, the unexpected things that actually occurred in his life. And so he just does that, and he speaks as his future self. And then he does not watch the video or touch the time capsule until the year goes by. And then let's just say it fast forwards and it's now January 1st, 2023. What Lee does that day, and it's part of his transformational process, it's part of his review process, but it's also part of his planning process, is he re-watches that video of himself, which he filmed the year before, and he sees how accurate he was. And sometimes he's insanely accurate, and obviously there's things that he could not have predicted. But then he films the next video of himself, in this case, speaking as his future self on January 1st of 2024. And so what I love about that is it's really nice to put yourself into the position of your future self. This is how you build vividness of your future self. It's also how you build empathy, clarity of your future self. It's also how you start to actually put yourself into the context of your future self, so that you're like, you're actually being your future self, and you could use your future self as the filter. So that's one way. That's another way of doing a time capsule. My wife and I actually created a time capsule of our future selves almost 9 years ago. So I got married in September of 2012. It's almost been 10 years, and it's now 2022. So in September, it'll be our 10-year anniversary. But on our 1-year anniversary, we actually made a 9-year time capsule. We made a time capsule which we wanted to open on our 10-year anniversary. And in that time capsule, we actually wrote letters to our future selves where we thought we would be. And we also filmed videos of ourselves, and we put the video files into a glass mason jar. So we filmed videos and we wrote letters, put them in a glass mason jar. And that glass mason jar has been just sitting on our shelf, and we're going to open it with our kids in September of this year. What's funny is 9 years ago, we were living in her parents' basement. We had 0 kids. I was rejected by 15 PhD programs. So I didn't have a PhD at the time and was not an author, didn't know the direction. We now have 6 kids. I've now published several books, have a PhD, have an online business. We now live in Florida. So it's fun to see how different our lives are from where they were 9 years ago, but it's going to be awesome to open up that time capsule and look at our former selves and see what they were projecting and predicting. So super fun. This is a really great and easy activity you can do to connect with your future self. You can do it at different time frames. You can make a 1-year time capsule, a 6-month time capsule. You can make multiple time capsules, as Mr. Beast did. But I recommend you do make time capsules and then have fun chasing and expanding beyond your future self, and then opening those up and getting not only better at predicting your future, but better at exceeding even your wildest imagination. So I hope that was helpful and enjoyable. I highly recommend you do that. My name is Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe to the channel if you want more videos on how to 10x your future self. Also down below, you can get a free copy of The Gap in the Game. Down below is all you got to do is put your email in, and we'll send you a code where you can get the full Kindle book, The Gap in the Game. Have a great day.